The Fourth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals has ruled against North Carolina's State Board of Elections this week. The unanimous three-judge ruling resulted from a lawsuit involving access to voter records. Joining us now with details about what that ruling means is Kaylan Phillips. She is litigation counsel for the Public Interest Legal Foundation. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, tell us, why did the Public Interest Legal Foundation decide to sue the State Board of Elections in 2019?
Federal law allows access to voter registration list maintenance records. So the Public Interest Legal Foundation requested records from the North Carolina State Board of Elections regarding non-citizen registration and voting. The access was denied, and therefore we sued pursuant to the National Voter Registration Act.
Now, you mentioned non-citizen. Basically, this is something that's of great interest to people, having folks who are on the voting rolls who aren't actually eligible to vote. Is that why you're seeking this information, to make sure the people who are registered to vote are actually eligible?
That's right. Well, it's a known problem in North Carolina that there have been non-citizens on the voter rolls. We're looking for information as to how they were put on the rolls, and therefore how we can ensure that it doesn't happen again.
And your suit was based on the notion that the State Board of Elections wasn't complying with the law in providing access to this information.
That's right. We alleged that federal law allows us to have access to all records pertaining to the maintenance of the North Carolina voter registration list, and access was denied by the state board.
So this case goes to a U.S. District Court at the federal level. At that point, it gets thrown out, but now, based on this new ruling, the case continues. Is that right?
That's correct. So the state board moved to dismiss, and the district court granted that motion. The Public Interest Legal Foundation appealed it to the Fourth Circuit, and just this week received an opinion that vacated the lower court's decision and remanded it back to the district court for further proceedings.
Now, based on the ruling, and I'm not a lawyer and won't try to play one in this video interview, but it seems as if the three-judge panel at the Court of Appeals basically says, okay, district court, you got it wrong, but there are some things that need to be weighed before you're going to get the information you're seeking.
That's correct. That's correct. The district court will have to consider what, if any, redactions may be necessary in order to preserve any confidentiality of sensitive information.
Why is this so important? I mean, why is it worth going to court and going through the now couple of years worth of legal action to make sure that this information, if it is in fact public, should be actually made public?
Well, Congress has provided the public this wonderful opportunity to observe the election process through the National Voter Registration Act. And it's important that the public be able to, and actually do, review what is happening in our elections. So this is a very important matter, and we're grateful for the district, or for the Court of Appeals decision this week.
Now it goes back to district court. What sorts of arguments do you make now that it goes back either before Judge Terrence Boyle or whoever it will go before, to make sure that you get the information that you believe you're entitled to?
There might be some discovery needed to ascertain what items exist, and then there will need to be briefing and decisions on the parameters of redactions in order to balance, the need for privacy with the public's right of access.
Now, I understand that from a legal perspective, ultimately you want to win the case and prevail over the State Board of Elections. Beyond just the legal argument, I suspect that the goal is making sure that North Carolina is following the law and that only citizens are on the rolls and that we don't have a system in place that is allowing ineligible voters to vote.
That's right. That's right. And North Carolinians deserve transparency in their election process. So this case is one more step towards greater transparency in what is happening behind the scenes in your elections.
Now, I understand the suit was initially filed in 2019, so we're a couple of years beyond that. Any sense of when we might see some resolution, when it'll go back to the federal court, or is it going to be probably some months before we see any further action here?
I'm always optimistic, but there is no concrete timeline, but we will do our part to bring this matter to a close expeditiously.
Well, it's a very important issue for North Carolina and its voters. Kaylan Phillips is litigation counsel for the Public Interest Legal Foundation, a group which just won a court ruling from the Fourth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals this week against North Carolina's State Board of Elections. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.